What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with me, Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. So, we're going to start with Super Bowl odds, which always come out right after the first Super Bowl. The odds come out like the next morning because it's never too early to start betting. They got MVP odds, Super Bowl odds, Defensive Player of the Year odds. They'd say, hey, you want to give us more of your money? Let's start right now. And that's how it starts. So the Dolphins open up as 40 to 1 odds to win the Super Bowl, which is like a plus 4,000. The favorites are the Eagles, second is Baltimore, then the Chiefs, and I think Detroit is four. Miami is like right in the middle of the pack. We're in the same group as Denver and Chicago. And that feels about right for the Denver side. The Chicago side is surprising to me because Chicago was not good this year. Um, they won what, 4 games, 5 games? They weren't a good team. They went like on a 10-game losing streak at one point. They weren't a good team at all. I think people are really giving a Ben Johnson boost, so I feel like it's a little bit insulting that they are expected to win 4 or 5 more games next year. Um, Denver made the playoffs this year, so being in the same place as a playoff team, I think is reasonable. I think if you ask most people, Miami versus Denver, I think if they play 10 times, it'll be 5-5, 6-4. I don't think either one is like much better. So not great odds. Vegas is saying they will be shocked if the Dolphins won. And you can make a lot of money, so if you don't mind putting some money up and maybe getting that 4,000, that plus 4,000 payoff, you get 40 times your money. I mean, you put a little. This is not sponsored by betting sites. I'm not going to say all that. I was like, sponsored by insert ad here, then you can make a good turn on your profit. I don't know how much credence to put in this, but I do think last year it was the Chiefs, Detroit. I feel like the Cowboys are really high last year too, and so the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl. So they're not based on nothing, but some of it's based on how you perform, upcoming schedules, that kind of stuff. Listen, just win games. And odds can change during the year. Just win games, go do your job. Odds will flip back in your favor, and I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I mean, Vegas is not expecting much from us next year. That's cool. More haters, shake off some of that hate. Better story to tell when people didn't believe in you, right? So we'll see what happens. Now, I watched the Eagles game. I'm not even calling it the Super Bowl. I'm calling it the Eagles game because that was a whooping. But I've never been the biggest Nick Sirianni fan. I think a lot of people in the media kind of feel the same way. He's been brash, obnoxious, loud. Just he's a lot. He's a dude. We call him like "Look at Me, Louis." If you ever watched the Dan Le Batard show, that's what they say. Like "Look at me, Louis." The guy like he's like, "Yeah, look what I did." Like this, the chest puff out, peacocking kind of dude. Like these are the dudes that get in fights at the bar. They walk in like, "Hey, you want to fight or something?" It's like, "No, we good." "Yeah, you scared?" You're like, "Fine, I guess we can fight." Right? That's the kind of energy he kind of gives off. But it's hard to not give him props for what he's done as a coach. He's been a coach for 4 years and he's been to 2 Super Bowls. Right? So that's very Sean McVay-ish. That's Kyle Shanahan-ish, right? And when he first got the job, he got the job because he was an offensive play caller. He was coach for the Chiefs at one point, and he's an offensive guy. Most head coaches in the league now, offensive whiz kids, they just, oh, you're great at calling plays, and they just give him a head coaching job. That's what Ben Johnson just did. That's what McVay, Shanahan, Sirianni, LaFleur, O'Connell, Stefanski, McDaniel. Like, you go down the list, it's a lot of OCs. And McDaniel was never like the OC, but he was part of the offensive game planning. So that's how you get the job. But after losing last year, and they got just bum rushed last year, Philly was 10-1 and then failed for the rest of the season. And it seemed like there was trouble at the top, no good leadership, no good management. They have all the players, all the talent was there. The team was just uneven, right? And so what they made the decision to do was for Sirianni to give up play calling to Kellen Moore, who we talked about yesterday because Kellen Moore just got hired to be the Saints coach. And Kellen Moore was with the Cowboys before, OC for them. And Sirianni basically took a step back from taking that job because he wanted to help manage the team better, right? When you coach one side of the ball as the head coach, there has to be something left to be desired, right? Because you're putting energy into the game plan, and then during the game, you're like locked in. Now, I know Andy Reid does that. and he's had some offensive like assistance with, you know, I can't think of the coach's name now. Wow, I know like Matt Nagy's the guy now, but he went to Colorado. Wow, can't find a job now. Not important. He's had people that helped him with his offense over the years, and so it's he's like the exception. I think Belichick was a DC for a long time for New England, and then like he passed it off to like his son and other people. So there's precedent for, hey, don't coach either one position, but just kind of like manage the coaches who do that job, right? So they asked Sirianni why he gave it up and why he gave up something that he's good at, and what made the team successful. And he said, at the end of the day, you always have to do what you feel is best for the team. I think that's selflessness. Regardless of how much I love something, it's what's best for the team, right? So that sounds great. That's actually very mature for him. And I think that I bring this up because there's been some Dolphin fans that think Coach McDaniel is so fixated on calling plays on the offense that there's other parts of the team falling apart. Special teams has been atrocious. Defensive, maybe adjustments at various points in his coaching tenure haven't been great. And sometimes just like the general morale of the team, we can see the team just like get deflated and kind of fall apart. And his personality seems like I don't want Coach McDaniel consoling me when I'm going through it, because he seems like he's such an awkward dude that you might know football 10 ways a Sunday. But if I'm going through it, him being like, hey, you got it. It's like, man, get off my shoulder, coach. I got time for this. And so some people thought, well, maybe he's a great offensive mind, but he hasn't been a great manager of the team, which is what the coach's job is. You manage the entire team. You don't just do one job and just leave the rest to kind of fall apart. And so it's come up that maybe he should consider giving up play calling responsibilities as well. And this is what he said to this. I think the team is best served with me calling the plays. The second that changes, I'll change that. It's not a self-serving process, and part of the evaluation process in general is, am I doing this because I'm the best person to facilitate this within this offense and our players? And the second that changes, I'll change. I don't know. That that sounded like I'm not giving a play calling. I don't know. Like I read it and it sounded like this is mine, because it's like, when are you going to evaluate whether or not you should be calling plays or not? It's like, yeah, I'm pretty good at this, and I've done my evaluation, and I decided that I'm going to keep calling plays because I like calling plays, and I think I'm good at calling plays. That's what I just read. I didn't read. I went talk to the team, talk to higher ups, and he's like, hey, dog, I call plays. That's what I do. I ain't stopping, and you can't make me. And I respect it. I don't know if this was best for the team, but he clearly is a great offensive mind. No one can dispute that. But I do think, especially like situationally, there's something to be desired. We talked earlier about how the Dolphins last year were very risk averse this year. And I don't know if that's because personnel got injured, if that's backup quarterback stuff, or if it's just like not having a great feel for the game. But it does seem like there are times when there's something to be desired for the overall management of the team. And he's already decided, I ain't changing. And so you can't make him. He's the head coach. But I respect that he was just like, yeah, I've evaluated myself as the coach, and I decided that I'm the best to coach at what I'm doing as the coach. Good day. He kept it a bug. He's like, I'm not giving up nothing. I'm head coach. I'm calling the plays. Y'all do what y'all do. I do what I do. I respect it. And finally, because we've been watching the Eagles game, I'm not calling the Super Bowl, what you saw was a ginormous offensive line dominating, right? And so one of the guards for the Eagles is Mekhi Becton. He was drafted by the Jets in the first round. People drafted him to be a tackle because he's 6'7", 360, right? He's built to be an outside tackle, and he just wasn't very good at the Jets. Some of it was injuries. Also, the Jets are awful. We could just say that. The Jets have been bad forever. So the Jets are awful, and he was injured. And I think the expectations what he was going to be like, they always say like Orlando Pace and those guys, but Orlando Pace is one of the best of all time. So that didn't work out for him. And then he went to the Eagles, and they moved him to guard. Now, again, he's 6'7", 360. Those guys typically that big are on the outside. But him at guard was like, it unlocked something in the offense because he's so giant. And he actually has surprisingly quick feet. Like, he's a big man, but he's not like, you know how Trent Williams is like really good at pulling, even though he's a big dude. Mekhi's not Trent, because Trent's a future Hall of Famer. But Mekhi's big and relatively quick, and he was very healthy this year. He played 15 games. And so he unlocked something in the run game because that center guard, center, little middle of that defense just moved people. And now he is a free agent because he only signed a 1 year deal. And I think the Dolphins should absolutely go after him because our center is undersized. And so when you run inside, usually center guard, center are the people who do the most like moving. And so we can't really run up the middle now because we have an undersized center and we have two mediocre guards. You get Mekhi in there with his massive giantness, he can make up for some of the deficiencies from the center, but he's made to just dish rag people. And you can pull and do that kind of stuff if you want to, but fresh off a championship, he finally feels wanted and loved. I don't think Philly has the money to pay him. If the Dolphins offer him like a 3 year deal in a neighborhood of 60 to 75 million, I don't know what he would take. I mean, there are other guards on the market, but I think 20 to 25 million a year for a guard fresh off a Super Bowl who's, I think he's 25, 26. He's not an old guy, who is very physical, and I think would instantly open up the run game, decent enough in pass protection, and just a presence. Like he now is a champion with championship presence and pedigree. I think he'd be great to pick up. Get him, draft another big guard, and now immediately we solid on the front. And then you build the team out from there. And maybe if coach decides he wants to stop calling plays, he can do that. It's his prerogative, whatever. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. We will see you next time. And as always, peace.